Hello, 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 hello. British People's League, BritishPeoplesLeague.com at you, January the 6th, 2013, our first year of the new year. However that was said, it's still early here in Canada, folks, on Sunday, January the 6th, 2013, our first show of the new year, featuring the Candour magazine, Situation in the Motherland, rated by political police. And do make the difference in your mind. There's a big difference between political police and the ordinary copper on the beat who just wants to get along with life and not do harm to his fellow white patriots. So before we get into the great details on the raid on the editor's home, the editor, by the way, Colin Todd, C-O-L-I-N, Todd, T-O-D-D. Just a bit of history here, as we've got Flory Ford singing in the background, the old music hall treats. An Englishman's Home, quoting from Candour reprint. And I'm sure many out there know what it meant, that expression, when we were young, when we were little. And here in Canada, when it was still British Canada. An Englishman's Home. Every Englishman is accustomed to pride himself with more than usual complacency upon what is called the sanctity of an English home. The sanctity of an English home. No soldier, no policeman, no spy of the government dare enter. Unlike the tenant of a foreign domicile, the occupier of an English house, whether it be mansion or cottage, possesses an indisputable title against every kind of aggression upon his threshold. He defies everybody below the Home Secretary, and even he can only violate the traditional security of a man's house under extreme circumstances and with the prospect of a parliamentary indemnity. It is with this thoroughly innate feeling of security that every Englishman feels a strong sense of the inviolability of his own house. It is this that converts the moorside cottage into a castle. It is this that converts the moorside cottage into a castle. A castle. The moral sanctions of an English home are, in the 19th century, what the moat and the keep and the drawbridge were in the 14th. In the strength of these, we lie down to sleep at night and leave our homes in the day, feeling that a whole neighbourhood would be razed, nay, the whole country, were any attempt made to violate what so many traditions and such a long custom have rendered sacred, were any attempt made to violate what so many traditions and such long custom have rendered sacred. This, folks, was an editorial, the Morning Post, July 10th, 1860. The Morning Post editorial, Tuesday, July 10th, 1860. The sanctity of an Englishman's home. And what happened here? At around 4 p.m. on the afternoon of Thursday, March 8th, 2012, the home of Colin Todd, editor of Candour, was raided by a large number of uniformed officers of the Hampshire Constabulary. At the front door, for the second time in a few months, Sergeant Tommy Tucker, 1244, told me that there had been a telephone complaint from a neighbour about shotgun blasts coming from this area. Pretty thin, I thought, having heard the bangs maybe half an hour earlier and thinking no more of it. Several neighbours have gun licenses, and the land backs onto British Army ranges. Several neighbours have gun licenses, and the land backs onto British Army ranges. They blast away all night and day sometimes. I locked the front door behind me and stepped into the driveway. I was astonished by the number of uniformed officers I found myself facing. Also the number and variety of police vehicles. Sergeant Tucker asked me if I minded if they searched the house. Yes, I did. At that moment, I was held by 2 officers and handcuffed by a 3rd. I was arrested and charged with firearms offences. The house keys were taken from my pocket. The front door opened, and a thoroughly disorganized search began. Still, uniformed officers and vehicles arrived. A van with a dog team was followed by an unmarked car with armed officers. It was impossible to count the numbers because I was restricted by my escort from moving more than a few steps in an area some 10 yards from the front door. I can only estimate that there were at least 15 to 20 officers present at any time. They had come from at least Petersfield, Alton, and Winchester, and very probably other stations in Hampshire. After some 2 hours of this, the sounds of 2 more blasts came from just outside the property in the road near the top of the drive, sounding a slight distance apart from each other. The police around me looked in surprise at each other, but none made a move to investigate. A lady neighbor whose back gate opens into the drive appeared and shouted at the police, "Did you hear that? Why don't you go and see?" A woman police constable with a dog reluctantly charged up the drive. Trudged, did not charge, excuse me, because that's important. Reluctantly trudged up the drive and out of sight to return moments later to simply shrug her shoulders. The significance of this was to escape me until the next day. Sergeant Tucker then rushed from the house and told me that the firearms charge were dropped. Instead, I was immediately charged with theft of police property. A cache of police road signs had materialized in a shed on the property. I have not seen them to this day. Over the next couple of hours, I found myself being questioned, among other things, about my plans to disrupt the Olympics and the growing of illicit substances. Lord alone knows what the briefing prior to the raid must have been like. Now, this is JB interrupting the excellent Candour article for a second here. I sort of had a feeling before I received this material from Candour. The briefings, you must understand that, the average copper is led to believe that white patriots in the motherland, and here in Canada and America, we're talking of the motherland today, that the patriots are dangerous. And, the average copper doesn't question his bosses, but they are more tuned into being political police, that's for sure. Lorden knows what the briefing prior to the raid must have been like. At about 8 p.m., as the light began to fade, I was told that I was to be taken to Winchester Police Station while lights were brought in. Lights were brought in so that the search could continue through the night. Lights were brought in so the search could continue through the night. You get a copy of this edition of Candour, folks, and you'll see what a clean-cut gentleman Colin Todd is right on the cover. And here they got to bring in spotlights and searchlights. They're all nuts. About 8 p.m., as the light began to fade, I was told that I was to be taken to Winchester Police Station while lights were brought in. I just can't get over that. The search could continue through the night. I'll spare you the boring details of my detention, save that at no time was I questioned. Finally, come 4 p.m. on Friday the 9th, after some 24 hours under arrest, I was bailed on the theft charge. Before leaving, now we're talking signs, road signs, like kids used to do pranks, but in my opinion, Mr. Todd did not know anything about the shed. Our dear political police and their buddies put those signs in the shed in case they couldn't find anything else out, and they had a damn good hunch they wouldn't find anything illegal on the premises, and that's why they had to put the signs in the shed. They had to have something now, didn't they? To intimidate white patriots in Mother Britannia. Let me warn all of you political police and the rest of you, the people are fed up, and we don't need to worry about illegality and planning anything. What will happen to Mother Britannia happened in the Hungarian Revolution in 1956. The people will be fed up to the teeth. The white, patriot, indigenous people of our motherland, the British Isles, will take to the streets en masse. And you can imagine what will happen when the people take to the streets en masse. And the Queen's regiments will not shoot their fellow patriots. I'll spare you the boring details of my detention, save that at no time was I questioned. Finally, come 4 p.m. on Friday the 9th, after some 24 hours under arrest, I was bailed on a theft charge. Before leaving the station, I was given several carbon copy sheets of schedule of items seized and informed that the special branch have your computers. Oh, so we're not after garden shed signs. Oh, we're after your computer. Oh, you brave fuzzy wuzzies. Oh, brave. And inform the special branch have your computer. Special branch of what? Special branch of nitwits. Special branch for retards. Now, a lot of the words here there's Beattie throwing into the article. Especially when you hear me screaming, then you'll know that's me. Carrying on with the excellent article here. On getting back home, I called at the local shop. The local Bush Telegraph had been working overtime. Soon I was able to piece together most of the events I had missed or been oblivious to at the time. The neighbor who had shouted at the police about the second set of bangs had seen a van drive past and apparently 2 thunder flashes, very loud military-type fireworks used in exercises, came from that. The same van later joined the other police vehicles once I was removed from the scene. Why the need for a second set of bangs? I was handcuffed. No wonder the uniforms were all nonplussed looking. On the morning of the 9th, I was due to be collected by representatives of Dog Rescue Charity at 10:30 a.m. to go and collect Bodisha. See front cover. The pooch. His pooch is photographed on the front cover, folks. Obviously, I was a no-show, but neither were the police. Concerned by my non-appearance, a friend was called who knows where the spare keys are, and a moment later would have been inside the house when at 11 a.m.-ish, the first police began to drift in, including the special branch of nitwits. I've added the nitwits, folks. The actual article is quite factual. This boy gets rather dramatic, fed up. By now, increasingly worried for my welfare, my friends, after their names and addresses had been taken, were told by the special branch of nitwits, words to the effect that it is all a small political matter, and not to worry. Ha, cat out of the bag time. Apparently the police do not seem anymore to feel the need for vaguely plausible excuses to do as they please. Written by Colin Todd. Now, folks who might want Candour magazine, I'm just looking up the web page here on the back of a lot of their flyers. Candour.org.uk. Candour.org.uk. This is the kind of crap that goes on. Now, hope we have time. As you know, we only have 20 minutes on these broadcasts. We keep these broadcasts simple, direct, and to the point. Secondly, we don't do piggybacking onto other situations. We may be getting a slight plug on the White News Network, but even then, we're still independent, and as a result, we don't have the funds to increase our 20-minute broadband. We just can't send it out around the globe. I'm not technical. But hey, I have been told by several that the short, punchy 20 minutes does the trick. The complaint form officially filled out by Colin Todd, the editor of Candour.org.uk. Candour.org.uk. Approximately 4 p.m., March 2012. I can't quite make out the date. I think it says March 8th. 9th, to approximately 4 p.m., 9th of March 2012. Complaint form, official complaint form. My complaints are against every uniform and non-uniform police officer who took any part in the raid carried out under false pretenses at my home forest house. I include the Chief Constable of Hampshire, Alex Marshall, because I do not believe that a special branch operation taking so many of his officers from their other duties would go ahead without his knowledge. My complaints include the raid, originally being conducted behind the pretense of a complaint from a neighbor alleging concern about shotgun blasts from Forest House grounds, being a false flag operation. This is a rural location where shotguns are often heard. Furthermore, Forest House land, approximately 17 acres, joins directly to the Lawnmower, I believe it is Lawnmower Army training land. Gunfire is regular. This is the second time that Sergeant Tommy has come to my door with the same story in the last few months. This time, though, police vehicles of all kinds kept rolling in. This is for a clean-cut Englishman. Where's the castle home? Sergeant Tommy asked if I would permit a search of the house. I declined and was handcuffed and charged with firearms offenses. The keys to the house were taken from my pocket after I could do nothing except watch in astonishment as yet more vehicles and uniforms arrived. One solitary Englishman, Colin Todd, the keeper of the gate, the keeper of his own home, violated by the commissars of the new state police of Mother Britannia. I could do nothing about taking details, numbers on collar patches, my movements being restricted by officers, and being awkwardly handcuffed. After a couple of hours, things must have been 20 officers, 20 officers present from at least 3 police stations. It was also about this time that two loud blasts came from near the top of the drive, etc. So the complaint form, folks, pretty well is very similar to the earlier parts of the broadcast I made directly from Colin Todd's article in the July issue, I believe. July 2012 issue. It's kind of cute on the complaint form description of what you are. It's got white British, white Irish, any other background, mixed, Asian or British Asian, black or black British. So we've got white British ticked off. We've got to stick together, folks. And Candour is the first organization in decades that I've come across that has the same exact outlook as does the British People's League. As a matter of fact, one of their logos right under their big spiffy heading of Candour. Candour, by the way, founded by A.K. Chesterton in 1953. So the splashy comment right under Candour as their logo, to serve as a link. To serve as a link between Britons all over the world in protest against the surrender of their world heritage. Repeat, right under the Candour heading, founded by A.K. Chesterton in 1953, to serve as a link between Britons all over the world in protest against the surrender of their world heritage. So here we are, the British People's League, BritishPeoplesLeague.com that you're listening to right now, have identical logo to retain our ancient cultural religious traditions. And that's what we're all about. And there are enough of us out there that we will win. We will overcome. We shall overcome. I cutely call 2013 the year of the white. I cutely call 2013 the year of the white. So we're sticking together. And as Robert, associated with Candour, put it to me in our first communications, we must stick together or be picked off one by one. We must stick together or be picked off one by one. Well, it ain't going to happen. We ain't going to be picked off one by one. They're going to be picked off one by one, legally, of course. We're going to squash their multiculturalism up where the sun don't shine. Confidence, confidence, confidence. We have enough British stock here in Canada to still make a difference. Outside of the major cities and the small villages, the stock is still of British-Canadian ancestry. Smith, Jones, White, Cooper, Johnson, Thompson, you name it. America, I've had quite the debates with various white patriots in the States as to why Europe is making it. Well, Europe has identifiable ethnic sub-tribes. French whites are French whites, British whites are British whites, German whites are German whites. But in America, it's a mixed bag. And I have one friend suggesting, well, white will work down here without the specific sub-tribe. I'm sorry, I don't agree. The bulletin boards down in the States, the forums, the internet forums that are picking up, skyrocketing, they do stress the word white, but it doesn't work. There's too many sub-tribes. Poles are proud of their history, Germans proud of theirs, British proud of theirs, and there's bound to be conflict over the heroes, etc. No, we're very fortunate. We've still got our British stock around the globe that we're sticking with. It doesn't mean we don't work with our European cousins. Of course we do. Half of my personal friends are of German stock. This is talking pure politics and how we're going to get ahead. So Candour magazine in Britain is doing it. And do hook up for a subscription to same, because there are very few hard copy Patriot magazines still out there for us to read. Hard copy in our hands. When we have more people and more support financially, we will picket embassies such as the British Embassy would have been picketed over Colin Todd had we the number of young fellows. Well, we do have young people on the wait, but we do need chains for Hamburgs. Our van plan. Read our editorials on our van plan on the homepage. Nick Mayne passed away. We're going to do an editorial on him next week. Well, that's it. Something for you to think about. But hey, we're winning. Our attitude is plus 100%. Not 75%, 100%. Talk to you next week, November 13th. Memorial tribute to Nick Mayne. Thank you for listening. Goodbye for now.